subject of scrutiny here. I was going through the meal feed here, and I seen this one. And anytime there's an Israel connection, it always piques my interest. So it says, French Prime Minister's nephew is among 3 tourists stabbed repeatedly in Israel seaside resort and left lying on the promenade. And, yeah, I mean, look at this picture. You can see the triangles. But then right here, it says 3 bullet points. French Prime Minister Edouard Philippe's nephew has been stabbed in Israel. He was one of 3 tourists who were attacked in the seaside resort of Eilat. And then right here, the third one, number 3, a power number. Mr. Philippe and the French president refused to accept Jerusalem as the capital. Boom. Third answer is always the right one. So that's one of the reasons they're sending a warning to this guy, this prime minister who's not accepting Jerusalem as the capital. And I mean, it goes on. A gang of men in Israel. It doesn't say what gang. I didn't know Israel was really famous for their street gangs. It says, it comes at a time of heightened tension between France and Israel as President Emmanuel Macron and Mr. Philippe refused to accept Jerusalem as Israel's capital city. And this has greatly angered many in Israel, and especially those who do not want East Jerusalem to be set aside as the capital of a Palestinian state. Boom. So, I mean, they're pretty much telling you. Mr. Philippe has also controversially backed the publication of anti-Semitic essays by the author Louise Ferdinand Celine. I don't know how exactly to say that. Better known as Celine, that's his publishing name, despite fury from France's sizable Jewish community. By Monday night, Israeli news outlets reported the shocking Eilat crime, while French media ones generally remained silent. Okay, well, I mean, all the media around the world is pretty much controlled by the same people, so that's probably why they did that. I wonder what the news coverage in Israel was like. It was probably like, they were like, oh, so sad, like, but not sad at all. 3 French tourists, including the nephew of the French Prime Minister, Edouard Philippe, was on a holiday in the seaside resort of Eilat in Israel, were attacked last Wednesday by a group of Israelis. They just keep going over. Stab wounds, lower part of the body. 2 of them were slightly hurt, and the third more seriously. I bet you that third one was the nephew. All were taken to the hospital where they were literally joined by the French consul, who is thought to have contacted Mr. Philippe immediately. 2 of those hurt were released from hospital on Thursday, while the third remained in a ward. It is not known if he is Mr. Philippe's nephew. Criminal inquiry attack has been launched in Israel, while police attempting to bring the perpetrators to justice. They are all believed to be Israeli men, according to detectives. That's a lot to go off of. Israeli men. So any 3 guys in Israel? I'm going to make a prediction right now and say that they're never going to find somebody, or they'll find some sad little scapegoat. But then I started doing a little more digging into it, and then I went to this one, the Times of Israel. Now, this is some, Israeli news, I guess. And Edouard Philippe says Celine's place as a great writer cannot be ignored, despite opposition from Jewish groups over reprint of Nazi supporter. I don't know if you know the real history about World War II and the lack of evidence, bodies, mass graves, extermination orders, the gas chambers weren't functional, and the chimneys were added after the war ended. I mean, there's a lot going on there, so I'm not even going to get into that. But once you kind of get that, then you'll start seeing this other stuff kind of lining in. But let's keep going, because there's something in here I want to show you guys. France's prime minister said he backed the publication of anti-Semitic essays by the author Louise Ferdinand, also known as Celine, despite concern from the country's Jewish community. And it says, Edouard Philippe said the essays published under the pseudonym Louise Ferdinand Celine between 1930 and 1941 could not be ignored, though the publication would have to be carefully watched. It says, I am not, quotes, I am not afraid of these pamphlets publication, but they must be thoughtfully accompanied, Philippe told Weekly Journal Du Dimanche in an interview published Sunday. It says, there are very good reasons to detest the man himself, but you cannot deny the writer's central position in French literature, because he did have some other books. The plans to publish the essays were made known in November, but formally announced only last month. The spokesman for Editions Gallimard, one of France's most prominent publishing houses, and I'm going to look that up here in a second and see if that's who owns that and if I can even find that out. And it says right here, boom. It's not letting me highlight it. Okay. Oh, there it goes. Right, boom. Told Elle Express the essays would be edited in a scientific style that would expose and explain their anti-Semitic content. because we got to keep that lie going that the Holocaust happened, and they died from gas chambers and not typhus. But that right there, that is 100% censorship, and even the prime minister's agreeing with this. So whether or not he did it and his nephew was warning, I think he was already on thin ice for this because this happened before. But the warning was probably for recognizing, Israel's capital right now as Jerusalem and all that nonsense that's going on right now. West Palestine, East Palestine, whatever you want to call it. And it says, but Jewish community figures have still pushed for the publication to be shelved. Duh. God knows they don't want that, coming out. The CRF, the country's main Jewish umbrella group, said in a statement that it opposes the plan to publish later this year and the 3 racist, anti-Semitic, and pro-Hitler essays titled A Bagatelle for a Massacre, The School of Corpses, and Beautiful Sheets. We need to write that down. I've been trying to find the name of these, and I didn't know it was down this far. France's best-known hunter of Nazis, Sir Clifford told Le Parisien that it would be unbearable to find at a French library the essays by the celebrated novelist, the paper reported last week. Yeah, I'm sure that guy, the best-known Nazi hunter, I didn't even know France was actually in the war. I thought they just automatically surrendered. I mean, what did he do? He probably, stood up and said, I don't think so, and then he was praised as a hero, probably. I'm just kidding. I don't have anything against Frenchmen. But, and it says, Celine, a physician and open supporter of Adolf Hitler's Nazi Germany, published Journey to the End of the Night, a story about his experiences fighting in World War I, celebrated as a timeless masterpiece about the horrors of war. Influenced Joseph Heller, author of Catch-22, and earned Celine accolades from the American poet Charles Bukowski, who himself was accused of harboring pro-Nazi sympathies. I think that's supposed to be sympathizers, maybe? Bukowski wrote in Notes of a Dirty Old Man that Celine was the greatest writer of the past 2,000 years. Damn. I mean, just the way that this is bouncing around, man, this is great. Reviled and attested in his native France for his support of the Nazi occupation. Excuse me. Celine left for Germany, Nazi occupation. Celine left for Germany and Denmark after France was liberated. He returned in 1951, a decade before he died. The author's page on the website of Editions Gallimard neither says why Celine left France nor mentions his pro-Hitler and anti-Jewish views. Of course it don't. Net neutrality's gone, so we get all kinds of good censorship. In one of the 176 pages that comprise Beautiful Sheets, Celine writes, more Jews than ever before on the street, more Jews than ever before in the press, more Jews than ever before on the bar, more Jews than ever before at the Sorbonne, more Jews than ever before in medicine, more Jews than ever before in theater, in the opera, in industry, the banks, Paris, France, more than ever before ceded to the Masons and Jews, more insolent than ever before. Boom! There's your Freemason Jewish connection, in case you don't believe in that. Right there, Masons, as in Freemasons, the largest and oldest secret society in the world. If you follow my channel, you probably know a little bit about that. But, I mean, this is, oh man, I didn't even get this far. Once I got the censorship, I decided to do this article, but really glad I just kept going. Wow. We're doing it together. It's a bonding experience. Frédéric Potier, the French government's envoy for dealing with anti-Semitism. Yeah, it's probably illegal to post this stuff and to write about this and to question the Holocaust. It's illegal in 14 or 15 countries in Europe, where if you ask or talk or conversate about the Holocaust, they'll put you in jail. I don't understand why a historical event needs to be protected by law. Why they don't want people in Europe, where this stuff happened, to be discussing the Holocaust. I mean, that's pretty interesting. Truth doesn't fear investigation. But let's continue on. It says, for dealing with anti-Semitism, wrote a letter last month to Antoine Gallimard, the publishing house president, expressing concern, in quotations, over the plan to publish the essays, in a context where the scourge of anti-Semitism must be fought more forcefully than ever before. Wow. See, anti-Semitism used to mean a word for people who didn't like Jews. Now it's a word for people that Jews don't like. So if they'll call you an anti-Semite, even if you don't agree with it. And even if you have proof that, some high-ranking Jewish people are really ruining our planet. Simple as that. Their business practices, the way that they implement social Darwinism. I mean, it's just it's all over the place. It's everywhere. Excuse me a second. I gotta get this blunt going. And it says, okay, right here. According to lay partisan, Celine's 105-year-old widow, Lucette Destuches. I don't know. I'm probably speaking it in Spanish. Who holds the copyright for the essays. For decades, had opposed the publication in France of her late husband's anti-Semitic essays, but recently has had a change of heart. Yeah, she didn't want to do it because she'd probably get murdered for doing it. And now that it's right before she's going to die anyway, probably, she wants the world to know the truth, so that's her change of heart. And I think that's it on that particular one. And then I just kind of looked him up because I was trying to find where I was going with that. But this is the guy, this is the author from the Louise Ferdinand. I mean, there's no real good videos on him, you know? Like, most of this stuff's all in French. And, like, none of it's covering this. I mean, it's YouTube, what do you expect? But, I mean, it's still very interesting to get kind of into this. Because everywhere I looked, none of it mentions it, or it's just smearing him for these anti-Semitic things. And the facts of the matter is that Judaism declared war on Germany far before Germany ever invaded Poland, and it wasn't a forced invasion. I mean, it goes on and on and on. You should check out Adolf Hitler versus the Jew World Order, or Adolf Hitler, the greatest story never told. And if you can find them on YouTube, watch them. One of them's like 3 hours long, but I mean, by the end of it, I mean, it's crazy because you start looking up these facts, and anything that's censored, repressed, not easy to find, that's the stuff that's the truth. When they bury it, that's the truth. People like Alex Jones, they're part of the machine. They're just another cog in the wheel. They're called gatekeepers, and it's insane. Like, I follow Eric Dubé on YouTube, and his by far is one of the best channels, and I've never come across a falsity on his channel. I mean, some of the stuff, like his flat earth stuff and some of that other stuff, like some of the religious type stuff, I mean, that's kind of open to interpretation, but his sources are all cited. He tells you what book he's reading it from or where he got the information, and it's legit. So check out Eric Dubé. I'm going to cut this one short. I got to get back in there and get some dinner made. So thanks to all of my new subscribers. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Even if you want to make fun of me, that's fine too. I love it. All right, guys. Thank you.